Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell says the central bank will be patient when it comes to raising interest rates. Powell making more dovish comments on monetary policy before the Senate Banking Committee yesterday during the first of his 2 days on testimony on Capitol Hill. Powell also responding to a senator's question on Democrat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's controversial Green New Deal.
They want to spend now, spend later, spend often policy that would use massive annual deficits to fund these tremendously expensive policy proposals such as Medicare for all, free college for all, make every structure in the U.S. energy efficient in 10 years, and a universal basic income whether you're working or not.
The idea that deficits don't matter for countries that can borrow in their own currency, I think, is just wrong. To the extent people are talking about using the Fed as a sort of, our role is not to provide support for particular policies. It is to, and that's central banks everywhere, it is to try to, achieve maximum employment and stable prices.
Yeah, that's the actual job of the Fed. Craig Dismuke, Mining Sparks chief economist, is here. That was really interesting yesterday. And what that senator was asking about was this idea of modern monetary policy. Progressives like AOC are grabbing onto this. Well, we borrow in U.S. dollars. The Fed controls the currency. So who cares about deficits?
Sure. Well, good morning, Cheryl, and thanks for having me on.
Sure.
MMT theory or magic money tree, whatever you want to call it, it's really, that was Powell's response yesterday was Fed speak for it's just ignorant. And it's the fact that you can run deficits ad nauseum. Eventually they catch up with you. We have plenty of examples to look at historically to see that this doesn't work. One of the most recent and most devastating examples was Zimbabwe, where they were funding a war in Congo. They were printing money to do so, paying army and whatnot with this money that they were printing. And people lost confidence in their currency, and so you had massive inflation. And eventually, the financial system collapses when you do that. Yeah,
well, hopefully AOC will read up about what happens in other countries along this progressive idea. But he did talk about there are concerns. He talked about the worries about global growth. He talked about the trade negotiations with China and also the issues that are happening in England with Brexit. So he did talk about that there are concerns for a slowdown. Does that concern you as an economist as you watch the U.S. right now?
Well, I think they're a little bit behind on this issue, and really, I think this story was bearing out in the fourth quarter of last year. And what the surprise to me, and there really is no new news in Fed Chair Powell's testimony,
right.
But the real story is just how dovish they've become. Remember, back in September, they were projecting a hike in December and then 3 more hikes this year, and that was as we've already seen some of the global data turn weaker at that point.
Right.
And so now, they're really second-guessing everything. We're concerned about global growth. We're concerned about weakening growth here in the U.S., and so I think they're right to be concerned about those things. But absolutely, they're much more dovish today than they were back in September.
Real quick before I let you go, Craig, the president's been tweeting from Vietnam this morning, and he put up a tweet about Fiat Chrysler bringing jobs back to the United States. What did you make of that? Do you think that the auto industry still could be that U.S. growth story that we need?
I think it'll be difficult for the auto industry to be a major growth story. I think there are some things in place that could help give it a boost over the short term. I think the new NAFTA 2.0 is going to make it a little bit more expensive to produce autos in North America, and that's going to be a challenge longer term.
All right. Well, he's hopeful, at least this morning, about it. Craig Dismuke, thank you for being here, Craig. Appreciate it.
Have a great morning.